Hey, welcome back to this episode of Think Like a CEO. Gabe Carp and myself are looking forward to talking with Shawn Geller, co-founder and CEO of Quikly. Quick update on Quikly. They create a way to instantly engage with consumers to drive in-store and online traffic. They do a lot of key things that we're going to dive into today. Really appreciate you, Shawn, being on the show. I think right now, one of the most important things always, specifically kind of as we walk through this pandemic and get through this pandemic, is getting people to knock at your door, enter, and actually purchase something. I think it's something that as e-commerce is on the rise, and all companies have been and are continually thinking about this, I love this topic. And so I'm excited to kind of dive in. And so as we talk about, just to kind of kick things off, how are companies driving traffic today in a COVID world, right? How are they getting and driving their attention to their doors?
Yeah, no, well, first of all, thanks for having me, John. It's great to be here and excited to chat today. I think marketers, especially in today's world, are kind of in complete disarray, right? Never has there been a time where it's been such uncharted territory to have to kind of navigate a space that is truly, again, uncharted in the sense of how are consumers going to act? Am I going to be able to keep my customers? Are people going to be willing to come into my stores, feel safe? Am I going to have products, right? So inventory issues is a whole separate area as well. So I think marketers today really have had to adjust and just trial by fire a little bit. Out of necessity, really start to think more strategically, more scrappy. And I think those that have done that kind of in their DNA for years now are ahead and will continue to be ahead during this. But I think, what we've seen specific with some of our clients and even some of those in the industry is it's not so much about getting customers into stores. It's about giving them the option and kind of empowering them more than ever to pick how they want to shop, where they want to shop, and kind of one-click button, BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, is kind of a new feature and function that a lot of brands are pushing today.
Yeah, I love that.
Shawn, can you give a quick description of what a Quikly campaign is?
Sure. Yeah, so the whole backstory to this, just real quick, is I was growing up as a kid and my parents hated shopping, just absolutely did not like going out, partaking in any kind of promotions, things like that, except for one day a year. And that was during, believe it or not, Black Friday. So it was interesting, right? There was a unique psychology to that. And I started to study the reasons behind it. Why did they have that visceral response? It was a social event, essentially. They would go out with their friends. They would line up at stores. It was just a completely different dynamic. So we started to kind of dissect it out. And what we came up with is there's kind of four key things: anticipation, scarcity, fear of missing out, and competition. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about some of those today. But essentially, Quikly is a digital platform, marketing platform. We have a team to help kind of deploy against that platform. But marketers can tap into that same psychology throughout the entire year whenever they want to. So they can create that excitement using promotions, getting existing customers to respond and drive higher frequency, driving more customer acquisition. And we've seen a lot of good success with it over the last, close to a decade now.
So just to, use lay terms, run-of-the-mill Quikly campaign, how does it work?
Sure. Yeah. So essentially, it's as simple as a brand teases out a set of offers or promotions. They could use some gift cards. We have a client right now who does free pizza for a year for one person, and then a bunch of other trailing offers thereafter. The catch is that they start to promote that out to their owned audiences. So their email database, they could push it out to paid media, sponsored social, all kinds of places. But the idea is that when you hear about it as a consumer, it's not available to claim in that moment. It will be released over the coming hours or days. However, no one knows when that is. So as a consumer, you just know that when you and everyone else who opt in will get a text or an email, and the first person to respond gets the best thing. So in other words, it's first come, first served. The fastest to respond gets the best reward or offer. And so we've seen that really does drive a huge amount of excitement, anticipation, and really just captivation.
So the first person to respond gets free pizza for a year. Second person gets, I don't know, $100. Third person, $20, and all the way down the line. And I think that 30 to 40,000 people can get something in one of those Quikly campaigns. So is that an accurate scale?
It is, yeah. So in any given, let's call it a 4 or 5 day window, we could have upwards of 250,000 people signing up for any given campaign. And so it's a really significant way of kind of push button drive demand over a short amount of time. And the beauty to it is it's an acquisition vehicle for brands, but it's also a really nice way of driving response and giving someone an offer where they fundamentally feel like it's of higher value because they've earned it, as opposed to just dishing out offers left and right through email or, what you might get any other day. And so we see redemption rates actually will tick up anywhere from 5 to 10% because of that.
So I have a question. I love your model, and I want to dive into the anticipation because I think right now people need something to anticipate about. There's not a lot of things to do, right? You come 8 o'clock. Most people have watched every Hulu, Netflix, and series out there, and so there's an energy behind what you're doing because Black Friday, no matter how much money you have, I know everybody seems to want a deal. Everybody wants a sale, and there's a level of excitement just as you're talking about it now. It's like it doesn't make me anxious in a bad way. It makes me anxious in a great way, where I want to win pizza for a year, and I don't even know why right now. But and so talk about how you kind of psychologically really not only tap into the consumer, but don't burn that consumer out if they keep on losing to what they anticipate they want.
Sure. So we actually create some different dynamics. We call them different levers in our campaigns, where you can feel empowered. So for example, if you opt in for the promotion that I mentioned, free pizza for a year, if you were to invite or refer friends into the campaign, what we do is we give you what we call heads up, which is essentially a forewarning that this live release is coming, so that I have my phone available. If I get one friend to sign up for the promotion, I'll get a 5-minute heads up, meaning 5 minutes before the live release happens, I'd get a text or an email saying, get ready, this is going to go live soon. And what we've seen is it really creates this gamification element where people feel empowered. They feel like they can one up their fellow neighbors, friends, consumers, and it's a friendly, healthy competition. And what we've seen especially with the pandemic, is you're exactly right, John. Consumers are bored, just flat out bored with getting bombarded with emails in their inbox every single morning. And so having a way to create this kind of authentic, fun, digital, safe, engaging experience is really what we've seen to just be a much more incremental way of getting consumers to respond.
Yeah, I love that. I want to dive into one thing you talked about as far as the community element of it, because to me, right now and moving forward, everything is about building community and so many tentacles of that. And so talk a little bit about not only your model today, but your model tomorrow, and how you look to continually build the kind of the inner community with the friends and the invites and the things of that nature.
Sure. Well, I think one thing, just to kind of bring it back to the marketer side, is marketers, I think, now realize more than ever that they need to build their own communities. They need to, those that have been doing it for years have known the importance to building their own database, to having their own set of fans and super fans. There's only so many times, right, that it's scalable to go back to Facebook, to go back to Google, to go back to all the different places that you have to spend to put $1 in to get your customer back. And so I think what brands are realizing is building loyalty, true loyalty, building their database, building their CRM list with email and SMS, and having multiple touch points to be able to engage with consumers is more important than ever, building their own communities. On our end, we have purposely early on set out to run a model where we don't have an audience that we bring to the table. We're more of a technology play. So we're not looking to have just discount seekers or things like that. It's really more of, we're experts at understanding, based on goal of A, B, or C, here's how we would configure a campaign to achieve the best results for a brand. And so with that, we can help grow a brand's community or database. We can help them grow their social following. We can help them to engage those people ongoing to retain them before they lapse.
Yeah.
Really, our model is much more so on a subscription model where someone can use our platform repeatedly, continuously throughout the year to engage those audiences, grow them, retain them. But our value is less about bringing an audience or media source to the table.
Right.
But having said that, how many? I know the answer to this question. That's why you said it. How many people, unique human beings, have engaged with a Quikly campaign?
Never ask a question you don't know the answer, right?
Right.
So I think the last count that we had, maybe back 2 or 3 months ago, was we've had over 36 million consumers engaged with campaigns so far.
Wow.
Across our brands.
Wow. So yeah, I guess the bottom line is that urgency marketing works, and recreating the Black Friday type conditions is an extremely engaging way for brands to interact with their consumers. That being, switching into COVID and the pandemic, how have things changed from your perspective and specifically in terms of how brands, and this isn't just a national brand, these are even local businesses, anyone who's consumer facing, how are they dealing with this differently? Yeah.
So I think that, like I mentioned earlier, the main thing is that people need to really think on their feet more so than ever before. There's such a fluid situation that they're having to navigate. And I think a lot of marketers, what we've seen is they feel the whiplash going on. They feel that one day the priority is driving customer acquisition. The next day it's, driving retention and trying to figure out how to keep people safe. I think what we've noticed is that the digitization of commerce and driving e-commerce is really accelerated and more important than ever. And so those that have built an infrastructure of building their database and growing their mobile audience and mobile app and having that kind of single push button to drive the Amazon kind of effect of getting people to purchase and owning that relationship are winning right now. The unfortunate thing is that many of them have been so far behind that they've either had to kind of scrape together what they could in having a technology and offering an e-commerce solution or a buy online pickup in store solution, or they're really at the mercy of a third party. So, we have a lot of restaurant clients who are just the margin impact of using, let's say, an Uber Eats or DoorDash because they have no other option at this point. And it's just about survival and keeping the doors open. That really is something that's, quite concerning to these teams. And so I think today, to answer your question, it's really about letting people choose how they purchase, giving them the convenience, but also, value, especially today with a lot of people who are out there, making sure that they feel like they not only have, a safe option that shows up at their door, or they can go into store and pick up curbside. Those are all things that really didn't exist even, a year ago, which is quite phenomenal.
Yeah. I love, I want to talk about a couple stats. I always love to ground things in data and the $36 million number. But, your studies show that through your campaigns, people are seeing a 30% increase in consumer response, a 15 to 30% increase in redemption rates, and an 80% or up to reduction in acquisition costs. I really want to dive into the acquisition costs because I think that's a number that most companies don't really oddly pay attention to, and what that cost is. So can you can dive into all three, but I'd love to start with that one.
Sure. Yeah. So acquisition's an interesting kind of topic, to your point, John. Some customers and marketers that we talk to have literally no idea and ask us what they should be benchmarking against, which is, really interesting. The way we look at that is it's all ties back to the goal or the KPI. So if a brand is focused on driving acquisition into their loyalty program, they should have some idea of what that loyal customer lifetime value is, compared to someone else who's not.
Yeah.
Same thing with mobile app users, email subscribers, all the way through to actual customers. What we see is that we can accelerate that acquisition effort. So I'll give you another example. We have a brand who runs monthly campaigns for acquisition. When they don't run us, they'll see about a 30 to 40% decrease in the number of mobile app and loyalty customers that month when they don't run a Quikly campaign. And so it's quite interesting to look at kind of these 1 week pulsed events where you can get existing customers who maybe aren't in their loyalty program or their mobile app, and all of a sudden you get them to engage with this campaign, motivate them to sign up through our campaign for the loyalty program or the mobile app, and then make a purchase when they didn't make a purchase previously. We have other clients who are struggling to keep their loyalists in the program. There's only so many times. I think Starbucks is a great example. They have a great loyalty program, but at the end of the day, they're still going to have people who lapse.
Yeah.
How do you start to engage those customers in a way where they feel like they're surprise and delight moments and there's an exchange of value there? And I think we're one of the pieces to that to really keep those retention efforts going.
Love it.
On the reduction costs, I know one of the levers is the viral component. Can you explain what that means? And then also talk about what percentage of people that engage in a Quikly campaign got there through a referral, a viral, and explain what that is, because I'm using jargon that I think a lot of people aren't
sure
used to.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that one of the mechanics or the levers that we can turn on is to have people who are either current customers or fans of that brand, or even new that are to the brand. If they want to refer friends into one of these promotions, these Quiklys, they can do so, and we make it very easy in the experience of our microsites to allow them to share this out through things like Facebook, SMS, so they can text their friends. They could text or email their friends. And so we kind of motivate them by saying, hey, for each friend that you get to truly sign up for the promotion, who provides their email address or one of these other data points, we'll give you a heads up. We'll give you a forewarning as to when this live release is going to happen. And so we'll see sometimes upwards of 60, 70% of those who participate will actually refer people. And they'll refer on average about 6 to 7 friends. They'll invite them at least. And then from that, we'll see anywhere from 0.8 to sometimes upwards of 2 people actually signing up from those referrals. And so we could end up with 20, 30% of all participants are referred in to the campaign. And from that, we'll see 60, 70, 80% of them are actually brand new to the brand. Their email address is brand new. And all of a sudden you have a lead acquisition nurture track to be able to engage those customers going forward.
So yeah, that's amazing. Just to recap that. So the brand spends money on advertising, whatever they're doing, to try to engage their customer. They do it and it works. And then now they've engaged somebody. Then for $0 additional dollars, that customer they just engaged has gone out and gotten at least 2 more customers for the brand. And as a result, you're seeing a 20 to 30% lift in a spend. So,
well, yeah, and spend is another whole area here on the redemption side, right? Where we're seeing offer redemption increases. But from a cost to acquire these customers, I mean, we're having brands who run with us monthly who their acquisition costs for mobile app with us are below 50 cents. And just to give you guys an idea of comparison, the cost to do that otherwise is upwards of $5 to $6.
Wow. It's great. I love everything that you do. I want to talk to you. I want to talk about you now as a CEO, right? And a CEO in today's world. What does leadership as a CEO look like today for you? And how do you talk about empowering clients, but how do you empower your team to think like a CEO and take extreme ownership in everything that they're doing as they work maybe in the office, but probably at home?
Sure. Look, I'll be honest with you. When we broke, when we left the office and went remote in March of last year, we were very proactive about it just to keep everyone safe on the team.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I mean, we had a significant amount of receivables that I had no understanding from a cash flow standpoint where things were going to be at. And we were pretty open and upfront with the team. We came together like no other time I've ever seen, and have been incredibly focused and productive from being remote. Most of us had never been remote before. This was a completely new territory for us. And I would say Slack really helped with that, and video calls and things like this more than ever. But I asked everyone to kind of think and be true to our core principles that we have, to really focus on how to get through this. We were going to get through this together. We were going to do whatever we could to make sure that we did. And I really do think that we're going to come out of this stronger than we went into it, which is quite incredible, especially given the territory and the space that we play. And it's just a testament to our focus and the team itself, for us to be in the position that we're in.
Yeah. I love it. You guys are doing great things. I love everything about the concept of what you're doing. It's so smart and so needed. I hope that every company in the world uses you, because right now the attention span of a human being is less than a goldfish, which is about 6 seconds. And people need excitement, and you make things exciting. It's great. You ready for a quick speed round, Shawn?
Sure.
All right. Favorite book and why?
Favorite book and why? I just read a book recently from the guy who started High Rise. Jason Fried, I think is his name. I forget the name of the title, but it was a great book. It was about trial by fire. You don't need to have 60-hour work weeks, and things don't need to be so chaotic. I completely forget the name of the book at the moment, but it was a great book with a lot of short reads and lessons, actionable lessons.
One piece of wisdom.
One piece of wisdom. Get uncomfortable. Figure it out, right? You're not going to know all the answers, but get uncomfortable, and you'll figure it out.
Finish this sentence. This is a speed round question, but also for you, because I love your product. One thing everybody needs to do to raise their level of awareness on why they need to use Quikly.
Look at your trends around acquisition and cost to acquire customers and where you're spending dollars, and challenge the status quo.
I love it. I'll add one thing to that. Understand, once you get that client, the lifetime value of a client, which is, I think, another thing that people don't pay close enough attention to. And so if you're bringing people in the door, there's a lifetime value of that client, the lifetime value of their referrals, the lifetime value of so many things. Shawn, tell everybody who your ideal client is and how they can connect with you.
Sure. Yeah. So our ideal clients really fall into two main verticals: retail and restaurant. They're digital marketers focused on CRM, loyalty, acquisition, and retention. And if they'd be interested in even just having a high-level conversation and strategy discussion around how they could use us, they can reach out to myself, Shawn, SHAWN, at Quikly, withouttheseed.com.
All right. I love it. Thanks, man. This was great. I loved learning about you and your company and all the great things that you're doing. I appreciate you sharing everything and your time. Gabe, I'll let you close this up.
Yeah, well, thanks, Shawn. And are there any Quiklys launching in the next day you want to share?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
That's a good question. I would say if anyone's interested, I think we have a link on Quikly.com where they can check out live campaigns.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. Gabe, this was fun. I appreciate co-hosting with you. This was great. And Shawn, great job. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody listening.